Hello people, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, thanks for joining us today. Remember, if you like this video, to subscribe because I want you to. Today, I am just chilling here in my dorm room, and if you're new here, you're probably very lost. Be sure to go check out my other videos to understand what the heck I'm doing. I am usually backpacking. I'm just taking a week break. My next trip is coming up this Sunday, and I'm so excited. So I am going to be finally doing a sit-down video telling you guys about my backpacking solo travel experience and giving you tips so that you too can backpack if you want. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about what held me back from backpacking and how I accomplished it. If you were to tell me a year ago that I would be backpacking across Europe solo with a backpack and like nothing else, like no suitcase, you know, no friend with me, like just myself and my backpack, I'd be like, yeah, that's funny, like haha, like hilarious. Yeah, I never thought that I would be here filming this saying that I've done what I've done, but I am, and I'm here to tell you that you may be in the same situation as I was a year ago, but if you put your mind to it, it's gonna happen. So my first fear with traveling in general was not having cell phone service. For most people, our life pretty much revolves around them, so not having service was a huge fear of mine. I felt like it would just be a nightmare if I didn't have any. And I also knew that service can be very expensive. I know that you can get SIM cards, but that's so confusing. I just didn't know how I would do it. What I did for service was I got T-Mobile. T-Mobile has an unlimited data plan for all over the world for only $10 a month. So you get unlimited text and unlimited data wherever you are for only $10 a month. The only thing I would keep in mind is not always the best service, but it works in the times when you really need it. Another thing that I use to guarantee that I have contact with the outside world is WhatsApp. WhatsApp is basically like a texting and calling app. You're able to text anybody you want using data, and you can also call people using data. Okay, so my next fear was probably the most common one, the language barrier. So for example, when I stepped into Czech Republic, I learned that the Czech language is the hardest language to learn like ever. When I first got into Czech Republic, I hadn't originally planned to go there, so I didn't have the language already downloaded in my phone. So I was in the middle of a train station in the middle of Czech Republic where no one spoke English, trying to find my train. The first tip I have for avoiding that language barrier is to get Google Translate. You do have the option to download languages so that if you don't have very good service or if you don't have service at all, you can still use the app and translate whatever you want. All right, so I'm gonna go into Google Translate right now and show you. Here we are. If you go to settings, you can go to offline translation, and these are all the languages that I have translated offline. You can add one simply by doing this, and it will download and put it right here for you. Another feature I want to point out that has been super helpful for me are the camera, handwriting, conversation, and voice little buttons at the bottom of the translation part. For instance, camera, you can open it up and aim it at the text. Oh my gosh, this is so weird because you can see all my notes. So it's translating all of my notes to French. Sometimes it takes a minute and you have to kind of play around with it, but that's the main idea. It'll just do that right off of a sheet of paper or a menu or a sign or whatever you need. There's handwriting, which I guess if you have some foreign person that wants to handwrite, it will translate for you. Conversation, you press the button, you say something, it'll translate to the other person's language, and then vice versa, so you can actually have a real-time conversation. Yeah, in general, Google Translate is a lot more helpful than I at least originally thought. Another app that I want to show you really quickly is one that I've just recently started using. So it's called Duolingo. If you don't know what it is, it's basically a language learning app, and it's completely free. Right here, I'm learning Spanish, and it gives you all these different categories of words that you can study and learn. So for instance, like I'll just do one. So here's the intro. I'm on level 2. Yeah, I'm getting pretty good, you know. So now I have to just translate what that just said. Hey, look at that. So my next fear was getting lost in a big city that I had never been to before. The way that I conquered this fear was two things. Number one, I downloaded every city map that I was going to in Google Maps. So if we go up here to Google Maps, as you can see, by the way, this is all of my Europe apps. If you want a separate video where I show you all of my apps, I could definitely do that. We can go to offline maps right here in the sidebar, and it'll show all all the maps that I have downloaded. If you want to download a new one, so I'm going to type in Budapest. It's going to pull up the city for me, and then down here you can press download and move it to where you want it to download the area, and it will start downloading for you. Once that's done, I will be able to access this map whenever I want, whether I have service or not. Another tip I have for not getting lost is to go on a walking tour one of the first days that you get to the city. I just learned that for me, this helped to kind of get acquainted with the city, the different areas that there are, and get familiar with my surroundings. So the next fear of mine was public transportation. I do not use public transportation at home. That was one of my biggest fears. So here's a couple tips I have for navigating public transportation. The first tip I have is to use Google Maps or Apple Maps. So basically, if you want to get from point A to point B, say you're at your hostel and you want to get to a restaurant across town. So I'm going to go into Apple Maps. Say that I'm at this marked location and I'm trying to get to Milan from there. I typed in directions to Milan from the marked location, and obviously, as you guys know, it has all these options down here for methods of transportation to get there. So I would go to the transit page. As you can see, Apple Maps does not work in this part of Italy, so I'm going to go to routing apps and use Google Maps instead, because they usually have directions most cities. They as well give you all these different options. If you want to use public transportation, you go to the little section right there, and it's going to show you all these different methods that you can use to get there. So you can take the metro and then the bus, or you could take the recommended route, which is this other metro and the bus, and it'll show you exactly how to get there. So it'll say walk this way, get on this line towards this place, so on and so forth. As you can see on the maps, it'll show you right from your starting point where to walk to get onto the station. I would definitely recommend using that for public transportation. Another feature that you can use on this app is you can choose when you're departing. Say you have a super early flight and you think that the traffic situation is going to be different at that time of day. In the Google Maps app, you can see this little section where it says depart at 13:27. You can press this and change when you're leaving. So say I'm leaving this day and I want to leave at 5:30. So then I would press done, and it would tell me the best method of transportation for that time and also how long it's going to take. You can also arrive by a certain time if you want to do it that way. Another tip I have, this is something that I learned the hard way many times, research how you buy tickets for public transportation before you get to the city. For example, in Prague, you have to go to a local newspaper shop and buy your tickets there. How would I know that? I don't know. Every city is different in how you buy your tickets. Okay, another fear of mine was, what if I lose my phone? So if you are new here, then you should probably go back and watch my Poland vlog, because this exact thing happened, unfortunately. To be very candid with you guys, if you lose your phone while you're like solo backpacking, you're kind of screwed. Unfortunately, we rely on our phones so much that it gets very, very difficult to travel when you don't have it. You have all of your tickets for your transportation on there, you have your directions, you have the time. I would highly recommend you don't lose your phone, but if you end up losing it, as I did, the best advice I can give you is to embrace it and not freak out. So I have lost my phone before, and I've also broken my phone to the point where it was completely unusable. What I've learned from those experiences is you have to get a little creative. I had to actually take a pen and paper and draw out a map for myself of where I needed to go, but I survived. It wasn't the easiest thing, but I am very proud of myself for getting through that situation, and it did a lot of growth on my part and made me into a more resilient person. Also, just keep calling your phone, and if somebody picks up, then you know that Jesus is real. Another fear I had was that I would get lonely or not make friends. I have a couple tips for you guys. In my personal experience, I really have not gotten lonely, and I have never not made friends. My first piece of advice is to call and FaceTime your friends. For the first couple weeks, I think I called my mom like every single day. Another tip I have is to journal to kind of get your feelings out. My third tip is to stay at social hostels. I'm gonna do a whole nother video on hostels and how to find the right one and hostel etiquette and all that kind of stuff, but I would definitely recommend, if you're the kind of person that loves being around people all the time and are very extroverted, staying at a social hostel. The atmosphere is very solo traveler friendly and where people are more open to striking up a conversation. So two more little things that I was really scared of happening. So the first thing was I was scared that I was going to get into a dangerous situation, whatever that may be. I'm always slightly scared of getting jumped, which I know is not even really a thing for girls. If you're scared of getting in a dangerous situation, I'd recommend, number one, using common sense. If you're a solo female backpacker like me, don't go out at night alone. just don't. Act like a local. A lot of times when I'm trying to navigate where I'm going, I take a good look at my phone, I put it away, I keep my chin up, and I walk with a purpose. I have been mistaken for a local in just about every city that I've been in. People are less likely to mess with you. My last tip for this one is to carry some kind of safety device. I have a bean looking thing that has this little stick, and if you pull it out, it makes this really loud, obnoxious sound. So my last fear was that I would get hurt or sick. I can't speak for everyone because this case is kind of different and I can't give like a blanket answer for this. I am currently studying abroad. I actually have international insurance through my school and they cover pretty much anything I need. That was a lot of info. Yeah, that is pretty much all I have for this video. That concludes my worries about travel and how I conquered them. So I hope that maybe this will give you some inspiration and some courage to go on your own solo backpacking trip. I promise you it's worth it. There's a 99% chance you're gonna come out alive. So why not try? Because honestly, we're all gonna die anyway. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.